Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the National Parents Union presents Speak Your Truth with yours truly, Vivett Dukes. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you tonight. And before we go any further in the broadcast, I would like us to take a moment of silence in honor of the precious life of Ms. Breonna Taylor. If you do not know, the grand jury verdict came back, and it was found that the police officer in question, shooting and killing her while she lay at rest in her home, was only found guilty. Only one was found guilty, and not even of murdering her, but of jeopardizing the lives of the white neighbors that lived around her. Let's just take a moment and pause before I say anything else. Breonna Taylor, your life mattered. Black women, your life matters. Black lives matter. Thank you. And so now, as we go in further with our broadcast, there's lots to update all of you on. We just got a wonderful word from the National Parents Union that an additional $500,000 in funding has been secured to further grant the grant proposals that came in for the homeschooling and pod opportunity. $500,000 more. So many more applications will be reviewed and approved. So that came out today. It's on our page, so please take a look. There's a wonderful article by the 74th that Beth Hawkins wrote that details some of the projects that have been funded and how the National Parents Union is really supporting parents who have made the decision for their children, for their family to homeschool them, especially as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic in which we are still living. So as many of you know, I am a school teacher. We started back in New York City just a few days ago, like really with kids. Everything up before that was leading up to the being with the kids. And I have to tell you that I feel like a first year teacher all over again. This is a totally new ball game. I am so exhausted. I took like 2 cat naps today because I just couldn't manage. I was so tired because it's such a different thing to teach online, to teach through this medium, to do the things that I know are best for my students, to engage them, to tap into them not only academically but socially and emotionally. It's challenging to do that virtually, and but it is getting done. It is getting done. So I just want to really shout out my school, School of the Future, an amazing school doing amazing work. And I'm proud to work with the men and women that I do work with. And I'm really proud of my students. Like, it's hard. So I want to just share some things. This is not what our show is about tonight, but I do want to just talk to parents for a minute. I see you trying hard. Their children are engaged online. Um, they have their cameras on sometimes with craziness going on behind them. And by craziness, I just simply mean, imagine you're trying to learn and someone's walking in the background, getting food out the fridge, warming up their food. Like, there's a lot going on, but yet they're doing it. We're doing it. And just shout out. You should be very proud of the work you're doing. Students, you're doing it. I'm so proud of you. I really am. I'm really happy. And I just want to give a a good report. There's so much negative going on in the world that I always try to come on and bring you a good report, because that is part of what my truth is, and I'm going to speak it straight like that. That's it. All right. Um, Tonight, our guest, he'll be on momentarily, but I do want to talk a bit about our topic, which is Black entrepreneurship. And I'm going to broaden that to just be entrepreneurship in general. Our guest tonight happens to be a Black man, so that will be the angle from which he speaks. But this notion of entrepreneurship, especially at a time when companies are laying people off, unemployment rates are really high, people have shifted from commuting into an office every day to working at home. What do you do when you feel like, wow, there's something else that I want to do, that I think I'm really good at, that I think would be beneficial to not only myself but to my community as well? What what do you do with that? How do you become an entrepreneur? What are the components to successful entrepreneurship? And what does it really entail? Who is it for? What are some obstacles that you will endure in your journey of entrepreneurship? It's quite fascinating to me. I am not an entrepreneur in that sense. And I have lots of ideas and things I think would be really great as businesses, but I know there's so much more to it than simply having a great idea. So I'm interested in hearing what our guest tonight has to say. While we are away, he actually called in and let us know he's commuting, so he will be with us. Um, I'd like to bring on my favorite guest ever. He's always my favorite guest. He's my husband, John Dukes. Come on in, honey. Hi. Join me. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Hello, sweetheart.
Hi.
All right. And hello to the viewers. I'm honored always to be a guest or a co-host with Vivett, my lovely wife. And for those that have been viewing us for a while, we both appreciate all the viewership and everybody that's been tuning in faithfully. And those that are newcomers, we welcome y'all with open arms. And hopefully there'll be some edifying things as always, but edifying for you, for your household. Something that you
Absolutely.
can grab onto.
Thank you. Thank you. I definitely want to remind our faithful viewers, thank you for saying that, John. I want to remind our faithful viewers that we're 40 days away from the election. And so we have a huge campaign here at the National Parents Union. Every family votes. Get out and vote. Like, there's no other way to put it. Get out and vote. Get registered to vote. There are huge registration drives going on. Please vote. Every Family Votes is committed. The National Parents Union is committed. Speak Your Truth is committed to uplifting our communities in every sense of the word. And part of our responsibility, and quite frankly, part of your civic responsibility, is to vote. So I just wanted to make sure that we put that out there, because we won't have too many more broadcasts before it's time to vote. And that's on a local, state, and federal level. The presidential election is not the only one going on. So with all the chaos going on in the world, so much going on in our country, your vote is your voice. So please use it, speak up, speak your truth, and vote. I didn't know if you wanted to add anything, babe.
Yes, I actually do. There's a gentleman by the name of Stephen Finley. He gave me permission to mention his name. He's right now currently put in for clemency, but the conversation we were having tonight, he called me tonight from Elmira. He was saying that he was worried about voting and how serious it is to vote. And I was just letting him know that, listen, you can come home and vote with a felony. We also did research on things that didn't pertain to him or myself about sex offenders. You know, he said they can vote. They can even vote if they're coming home. You know, because some people, be honest, have been wrongly convicted. So for those who have a problem with what I just said, even with sex offenders, some are innocent actually. Having said that, they can vote as well. You know,
Everyone can vote. If you have a
you
felony
need to vote.
you need to see what the laws are in your state. But in the state of New York, which is where we are, you can vote if you have a felony. It does not matter. It doesn't matter what your felony is for.
Yeah,
First of all, that was never an issue, so it doesn't matter.
just
And
to register.
just go register. You have to be registered first before you can vote. So go and vote, and it's really important that you vote, because that right was taken away from you. If you were formerly incarcerated, that you couldn't vote. And so now if you're home, get out and vote. If you're coming home, get registered and vote. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I understand our guest is here tonight.
Okay.
He's waiting. And so Mr. Dwayne Parker is a wonderful, wonderful member of our family, actually. And I do say that with a lot of pride because he's such a creative man. He takes things, he has ideas, and he's able to take them from out of his mind and actually execute them in real time, in real life. Baker, I'm sorry. I said Barker. You could have said it, John. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. Funny.
We're gonna have a show where it's just us talking about other stuff because there's a lot going on. But Dwayne, seriously, he's such an epitome of an entrepreneur. I heard about Dwayne before I met Dwayne. We met when John was still inside, and just in speaking with him, I became very intrigued. Like, what do you do? And what is your line of work? And as he told me more, I was like, wow, this guy is really about his business. Like, he's really an important person that people need to meet and hear from. So without further ado, Mr. Dwayne Baker. Sorry about that. Hi, Dwayne.
Yes. Hello, sir.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Hello.
Hello. I botched your last name. I'm so sorry. That's just nerves.
That's okay.
How are you? First of all, I know you're very busy, so thank you for your time.
Oh man, thank you for having me. I heard about the show and I was, John told me that you guys wanted me to be a part of it, and as soon as he told me that, I told him I couldn't deny it. I know you guys are always doing good things, so I can't deny being a part of a good thing.
Thank you, cuz. I really appreciate it too. You are inspiration in a lot of ways, and although I'm older than you, and there's things that I've shared with you coming up, I watch you now and I just like, wow, man, you really like took off like a rocket, but not a rocket that comes back down to the ground. You just steady flowing. And I appreciate that. But without no further, delay, I would like to move on to Vivett to ask some extraordinary questions. I want to say extraordinary because I really believe that people are going to be fed tonight by some of the things you're able to elaborate on and to tell our viewers about.
Absolutely. And I have to say this to you publicly, Dwayne. You really impressed me when we came to your home and you had the bag of clothes from over 20 years ago that you had from John's belongings right before he went into prison, and you kept it all those years. It says something that said a lot about your character to me, about your dedication, that when you go hard, you go hard.
Mhm.
If you're in, you're all the way in. You don't half step, and you're a committed individual. And I believe those same qualities are what makes you such a successful entrepreneur. What do you think about that? Is that true?
I don't know. You kind of caught me off guard. No, I appreciate that. And you know what John said right before you chimed in, and just about how, you know, he's older than me, and you know how I've kind of like gone to where I've gone. But you know, right before he went in, he, and I've never said this to you before, but right before he went in, he was my superhero. You know,
You never told me that. Now I feel good, but then,
you know, because you know there were definitely things that we had gone through together, and so I always looked up to him. So you know, the day when that happened, and he gave me that bag, he said, "Look, cuz, hold this for me," and I did what he asked me to do. I held it, you know, and so every time I saw that bag, you remember, you're talking 20 years. So I've bumped into that bag a couple of times throughout the 20 years. And I always knew that I had to just hold it to the side. I couldn't throw it away. You know, it didn't feel right doing that. So it was just a reminder of, you know, all of the history that was in that bag. So yeah, that was a moment.
definitely, because I know you have moved, you know, and, you know, relocated, you know, you had
Times, yeah. So,
yeah,
you
go
know,
through a lot of different things.
I had to carry that bag along with me
Yes.
through
Yeah.
the whole ride. So, but I kept it in a safe spot, so it always kind of like, you know, traveled with that
But
section of belongings.
I want to chime in real quick because I'm looking at time and there's so much to deal with this man. So excuse me, Vivett, while I take the lead a little bit on this. Because this man here, we didn't read a bio of you. I have to acknowledge that my cousin once was the proud owner of a golden crust in the heart of the city, you know, by Chambers Street. I was inside, locked away. I was like going through it, like, oh, my cousin's he owns a golden crust. Then I heard he opened up another one down around the block. I was just like, oh, I can't wait. You know, all these people were going there, and even though you're not doing that now, one of the reasons why I wanted Vivett to interview you tonight and to be a part of it was that school is starting again. School has started. It was starting when I asked you to come on, but it started now. And you happen to be a part of making glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that had brought me to come to ask you was that you said that you were dealing with children glasses. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. I would like to mention this because not only because of what you're doing, because you're a parent and the reason why you chose to do children's glasses. Like, I think that's awesome. Just to empower them and to make them feel confident. It was things that moved me to say it wasn't for a sales pitch. It was like, these are real things and real reasons why you were motivated to make these glasses. And I think that should have been highlighted. And plus numerous things I can go on about. But with that, I just wanted to say that, Vivett. I know I said a lot.
We're getting into it. No, thank you for that. I know you're very proud of Dwayne, and we're getting into it. I'm actually wearing one of your glasses now.
I noticed that. I'm looking. I'm like, wait a minute. Are those? I
Noted?
don't remember when you got those.
No, I ordered those.
Oh man, that's amazing. Those look good on you.
See?
Those look good on you.
Look at this. Look at how lovely the packaging. This is Dwayne's company. Gorgeous. Look at these. They're gorgeous. I get compliments every time I wear them. They're beautiful. Oh, and I've never worn glasses before. So for me to say this and to keep them on and to just be like flowing with them is like they're light. I can really say these glasses are fly, just straight up. They're fly. It's Black owned. I know that's a big thing. Black owned, everyone's shining. Black lives matter. Yeah, Black dollars matter. Put your money where your mouth is. and get these glasses made by this lovely Black man here? Tell us about it, Dwayne.
Oh man, so I mean the name is Coco and Breezy, and it's named after my two twin partners who are like the epitome of rock stars, you know. So it's like if anyone's watching, I'm just like the in the middle of these two amazing girls. But you know, the name brand is Coco and Breezy. They're twin sisters. One's name is Coco, one is Breezy. And I mean I met them when they were 19 years old. And they're 30 now.
Wow.
So this is like right after the time when the Golden Crust that you were talking about, I was transitioning out of the restaurant business, and I ended up with another partner of mine, like going into like product development. And
did you go to school for that though? Because this, like, we want to really talk about the entrepreneurship part. How did you end up even owning a Golden Crust to go to transition into creating glasses? Because for many of us, it's like we get told, go to school, get a job, go to school, get a job. So how did you break that mold?
I think one of the things that I probably could say was really inspiring is, and cause you know this, like in you figure, and this is before John went in, you know, 93, 94, I worked at Red Lobster with Damon John. So, you know, Damon John sold me a FUBU jersey out of the trunk of the car in Red Lobster. So, and that's after a night of bussing tables together. So that's an eye-opening experience to watch him go from, of course, where we were to where he's at now, of course. So that was one of the influential moments in my life that kind of like always played a role, because I was always able to watch what Damon did and see, you know, and be around it also, because it's not like he left Red Lobster and I never saw him again. Like I was able to be a part of that you know, environment and see it. And then I just always had friends of mine around who were always entrepreneurial as well. So it just became my circle. Like I even to this day, I just don't really have many friends that aren't entrepreneurial. Like, and that's, I mean, it's not a bad thing, of course, to have a 9-to-5 job. It's just that my circle doesn't, you know, my circle tends to be a bunch of business owners, you know? So through that, I was always kind of just geared towards the idea of ownership and starting something new. So really it stems back, if I go backwards and even in time before the Golden Crust, it was, I mix my experiences of entrepreneurship or seeing entrepreneurship with people like Damon, my father, and of course some other people that were around me. But then I also went to architecture school. So
that's right.
So I went to architecture school because my father's an architect. So honestly, I kind of fell into architecture. I don't know if I would have just like come out of the neighborhood and decided to be an architect, but I was exposed to architecture.
But you are good with your hands, and you are a builder and a creator. So I think it's important that we bring that out, because for all our young Black men and women who are watching, who might not be in circles around entrepreneurs, to really be able to see like, well, hey, this man looks like he could be from my neighborhood, and he's owned businesses, he's in circles. I think like that phrase, representation matters, is why I know I wanted you here tonight, because you're not the typical face of what we see, especially when we're talking about glasses, right? We're not thinking about a Black man who's creating glasses. So.
I mean, I go to our trade shows, and John, you've been there. Vivett, you came to the trade show. You see what it is. I mean, we are by ourselves on that trade show floor. So I'll come back to what I'm doing with the trade shows in a minute. But like when you just look at like the transit, because you asked me about the transition of how I kind of like went from, you know, architecture, into
Design.
eyewear and product development. I had a partner of mine like right after the restaurant who we were always into like just hustling together, like in terms of like little entrepreneurial ideas. And so one time we started producing, we started selling products in the mall, in kiosks in the mall. And so, you know, it's simple. You find a product, you sell it, and you rent a kiosk in the mall. You can sell sunglasses in the winter. I mean, sunglasses in the summer, happy feet slippers in the winter, right? And so it depends on whatever's hot, so whatever's trending. So during that process, we came across the electronic cigarette. And so, I mean, it's not the proudest product I've ever sold, but it was a product that was kind of like trending at the time in 2008. So we went through selling someone else's product, which was there was a company. We found a company, and then we just started selling their product in the mall. And as we were selling that product, we realized that there was a little bit of backlash as an electronic cigarette. Like soccer moms, they didn't want to come by the kiosk. Like people who were conscious wouldn't come by the kiosk. And it kind of like woke us up, because then we became a little bit more conscious to the product that we were selling. So we started to really adjust our marketing. One, to keep the business going, but two, to also kind of like change the narrative of how that product was being sold. So like the packaging of the product that we were selling was black. I mean, it had a woman on the front, looked like she was in a club. It made smoking look cool. So in order to kind of circumvent that, we started to create like marketing that would encourage the consumer to not smoke this just to smoke this, but to smoke this as an alternative to cigarettes. And then of course, wean yourself off and then quit cigarettes. Long story short, as we started to go through all of these changes and adapting to like the of selling a product in a new way, we were creating our own marketing material. And so now I'm going in and learning Photoshop and using Photoshop to create signage to help sell the product in a different way, because the company at the time wasn't giving us the necessary tools to sell the product with that narrative. So we created the narrative. So my partner and I, we just started, of course, like looking like, you know what, where's this product coming from? And then we found out where it was coming from. And then we found a manufacturer. And then we started to say, well, you know what, like maybe we could create our own brand. And this is like 2008, right? So this is like my first introduction to even sourcing things from China or from abroad. So now we were sourcing electronic cigarettes. We started our own packaging. And then if I fast forward, we took that business to owning maybe about 13 kiosks through 13 different malls, selling an electronic cigarette brand of our own that was just owned by two Black guys that just owned 13 kiosks. And then the FDA got involved. Then you had companies like Philip Morris and RJ Reynolds that then bought larger electronic cigarette companies, and then they flushed all of that business out of the way. So now Big Tobacco wins again, right? So we got out of that business. And so now as I'm transitioning out of that business, or during that time, that's when I met Coco and Breezy. And now that's where I was able to mix architecture and my sourcing ability that I just picked up during the electronic cigarette and the product development process together.
And this was all self-taught, like just
autodidact
experience, right?
It's experience, it's experience. But you know what else? It's one of the biggest things, and that's why I told you I was going to come back to the trade shows, is that it's about exposure. If you're not exposed to something, you don't know it exists. And that is, at least as Black people, that's one of the problems. One of our major problems is that we're not exposed to much of anything other than we see within our neighborhoods or on the internet, which is designed in a certain way to show us all of the bull, right? So we don't ever see a different picture of ourselves or even different opportunities that we could take advantage of. So, it's like, as over the years, as I got, a little bit more acclimated to the trade show world and being a part of Vision Expo, And of course, being the only Black people on the trade show floor. So it's not hard to like meet the who's when you're the only Black person in the room, right? So we've gone through the position of meeting the who's and got all the way up to like the higher ups in the trade show industry. So I can't say that I'm there yet, but at least it's a conversation that I know that I'm having, which is geared towards like getting these trade shows to develop programs that would reach into like inner city communities to be able to grab kids out. And instead of taking them to the Statue of Liberty, we take them to a trade show. Instead of taking them to the Bronx Zoo, we take them to a trade show. We take them to a place where people are actually engaging in commerce. Now, a 7-year-old might not actually know anything about what's happening inside that trade show. But 10 years from now, when he or she is 17 years old, it's all going to start to make sense. And they're going to remember like, man, I remember those bright lights. I remember going to Jacob Javits Center. I remember going to that expo where they were selling boats or something. You know, it could be anything, because when you go to these trade shows, there's no Black people on the floor whatsoever. And it's not always because they don't want them there. It's just sometimes because they don't know it exists.
I didn't know about it before I met you. Before you invited, John told me about it. I didn't know about it because you told John about it.
Right. But how many times is someone coming to your school and inviting you to something like that? You know,
How many classes?
I never was invited to an eyewear trade show. And, you know, it's like, I don't know, even if I wasn't interested in going on a lot of the field trips that I was taking on. So to be honest with you, the choice was made by the school, right? So the school can make better choices to take kids to places where trade is happening so that they can learn about things that they're going to need after they get out of school, as opposed to wild animals or whatever kind of, you might know better now about the kind of field trips that they're going on. But you know,
the Bronx Zoo, it hasn't changed a lot. It's really up to the teacher, and it's also parents. Parents can make a lot of requests. If you're a parent and you're listening to this and you want a better way for your child, then put your foot on the neck of that school that your child goes to.
You know what, though? Sometimes I don't even blame parents. Because remember, parents went through the same messed up school system that the kids is going through now. So how you going to blame a parent? You know, it's parents, of course, are supposed to know better, but there are some parents out there that just don't know better, right? And they don't know better because they weren't exposed to better. You know, if you've never seen white glove service, how can you provide it? Like, you just, there's exposure. That's at least that's my biggest thought right now in terms of like, how could we fix our people? We have to expose them to things so that they can see the options that are available. You know, there's people of other cultures that create all these different types of ways to make money, and they hold it to their culture, right? So, you know, have we ever created a monetary system within our culture? You know, it hasn't really happened. So I don't know. I'm kind of going on a tangent right now, but I'm kind of thinking more along the lines of, like I said, just fixing the problem. And fixing the problem for me is exposing the younger generation to what's available, you know. So for me, that's kind of like my mission right now, is to, you know, to work with like the powers to be that I have access to that could assist in, you know, we either come up with like a Coco and Breezy scholarship or something that could help, you know, give, you know, funds and attention to inner city schools where, you know, these kids aren't normally exposed to these opportunities.
Appreciate that. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in because, like I said, there's so many things that I could speak to you about. I mean, you definitely, with the, let's say with the entrepreneurship, you definitely took your experience and made a way for yourself. Having said that, though, how do you pose to like you did mention how you were going to probably get children from the inner city, but how are you looking on that task? That's what I'm going to ask you. How are you looking on that task now? Because Vivett is a teacher, so you have sort of an in with maybe the Department of Education.
With all the parents who are here and the other educators, you have a wide audience right now.
So I'm at the end. I don't want to mention too much too early because I want to kind of like, I would prefer to at least come back to you with like solid information. I'm just telling you about conversations that I'm having. And those conversations are now kind of geared towards like funds, right? So where would money come from? And some of the funds would potentially come from that industry, right? Because that's the industry that I'm applying the pressure to. So I have to see if they can get funds and sponsorships and sponsors to be involved. And so they're eager to kind of course, like most corporate companies, they're all eager to try to change the narrative now and be on the right side of history. Yeah. So because I am, in some instances, sometimes the only Black guy in the room, I am the person who gets the chance to say something for us, because that's part of the problem, right? It's either a room full of white men talking about women's healthcare, or it's a room full of another culture talking about making decisions for another culture, right? So I don't want to say just white people, but I think in general it's usually the person who's not a part of it who's making a decision for the person who is a part of it. And so I've kind of been fortunate enough to be inside or close enough to some of the decision makers to be able to kind of like keep pushing the message to them, to tell them like, look, this is an area where if you're going to be a part of this change, here's some advice from a person that's a part of the change that you're trying to help, and so that's kind of where I've been lately. But once there's more information, of course, I'll be looking to talk to people such as yourself, Vivett, because I know you're involved in school. So it's like, if I need kids, I'm sure you got a bunch of kids that I can pick from to bring out to some of these trade shows.
Absolutely.
And starting in New York, because New York is clearly, where we're at. But ideally, this company is in charge of tons of shows across the country, right? So this is something that should not only happen in New York, of course, in the future, but across the board, where people like us can be seen at these trade shows and involved in these trade shows and involved in these industries. So we have a chance to be exposed to it.
Thank you.
If someone is watching and interested, a young person's watching and saying, I'm really interested in starting my own business, but they really don't know where to start, could you give us maybe like 5 steps, or what are the steps you would recommend that they take in a broad sense, regardless of what the industry is that they're thinking of getting into or creating? What advice would you offer based on your expertise?
So the first piece of advice would be to, if whatever industry it is that you're interested in getting into, go look at all of your competitors, and for the lack of a better word, I'm going to say just steal all of their information, right? Because that's what everyone does. And so now I'm saying it bluntly like that, but the truth of the matter is that you can't create anything without any inspiration, right? If you were born in a white room, you would have never seen any colors. You wouldn't know what blue, red, or anything was, right? So how can you mix and match these colors together to create anything if you've never seen any colors, right? So you have to go look at other examples. When I was, in architecture school, or at least when I was younger and I was working for my father doing architecture, if you ever drew something wrong, he'd kind of look at you like you were crazy. And it's like, I mean, I could draw something wrong, but if you have an example of what you drew wrong in front of you, like a doorknob or a windowsill or something that's like, I mean, there's one right there. There's no reason why you should draw it wrong. There's one right there in front of you. There's no reason why you should draw that wrong. Now, if you didn't have one, I could see you wouldn't know how to draw it, but you got a doorknob, you have a window, so you have all of these components in front of you. So I say that to say that if you want to get into manufacturing pencils, go get a pencil, break it in half, and look at what's on the inside. You know, if you want to start selling, in my case, glasses, right? We got glasses and I took them apart. You know, I looked at what is it made of? Metal, acetate. Then I found a manufacturer. And then you know what? After I found a manufacturer, I said, hey, manufacturer, can you give me some example drawings? So manufacturers are always interested in getting your business, right? So if you find a pencil manufacturer or anything manufacturer, you can ask them for samples. They're interested in giving you samples because they want you to see the level of work that they do, right? And they're interested in giving you as much as they can in order for you to basically work with them to manufacture whatever it is that you're interested in manufacturing. So it's easy to get a manufacturer to give you all of the information. So now if you look at me with glasses, the first time we reached out to a manufacturer, I said, hey, manufacturer, can you give me some sample drawings of glasses? Once I got sample drawings of glasses, it was game time, right? That's all I needed. I needed blueprints. So now I have some blueprints. Now I can see the typical dimensions of glasses. I see what illustrations are needed in order to manufacture glasses. Now I can think backwards. Start off with a drawing, and now I have an example drawing. It was easy, and go figure. After I reach out to a manufacturer, they send me files that I'm already familiar with, which is AutoCAD, which is what I used in architecture. So come to find out that the program that you use for architecture to draw is commonly used across the board to draw everything you could imagine. So it's not just buildings, it's not just, landscape architecture, it's not just architecture, which kind of leads me back to now believing, I went from not really enjoying architecture when I was drawing buildings to now I'm drawing glasses, and now I kind of get into the space where I appreciate architecture much more because I realized that architecture is not buildings. It's not buildings, it's not houses, it's not any of that. It's everything. Everything. So if I wanted to get into the cup business right now, I'm going to jump inside my CAD program and I'm just going to draw a cup. First I'm going to find a cup manufacturer and I'm going to ask them to send me a drawing of a cup. And then I'll work with their drawing. So if I had to put it simple, if you want to start a business, any business, I don't care what business it is, someone is already doing it, unless you're reinventing the wheel. And if you're reinventing something, that's different. Now you're coming from a different place. You better start looking for patents and all that stuff. And because this is something that no one in the world has ever seen before, which I doubt you have. It's more likely that you have something and you want to be a part of an existing industry. And if you want to become a part of an existing industry, then all you have to do is just go study that industry, study the products that come from that industry, or study the services that come from that industry. So my daughter is a hairstylist. She's got to go and look at other hairstylists, right? She's not going to be looking at mechanic shops, she's got to go mimic and study what are other hairstylists doing? Like, what's the typical charge for this type of hairstyle? What is the, because she can't go out there and charge double the price of a particular type of hairstyle. She's got to understand what the industry is charging in order for her to match that price or beat that price even better, right? So same thing, doesn't matter. So I've come to find out that it doesn't matter what kind of business it is because the principles are always the same. Find a product, find it for a price that's less than what you want to sell it for, and make a profit. Perform a service, and the cost associated with your services have to be less than what you charge for those services, right? It's always going to be the same thing, right? It's cost of doing business and then profit. So it kind of doesn't really matter. It's always going to be the same start point. Look at other companies that are doing what you're doing and study, their practices and then don't necessarily copy it, of course. You have to think of ways to make it better. So you're really looking at what they're doing for the start point, and then you're then looking to embellish on it to fill all of the voids that you think that that company might not be taken care of, or they may not be talking to a certain market, right? There's certain companies that are out there that are clearly talking to other cultures, but there may not be, that product may not be talking to our culture, right? So you might feel like, hey, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't even have to do that. I just need to create a product that is marketed to a specific type of person.
Yeah.
So there's just so many different ways to look at it, but it's always about looking at previous examples.
That's good information.
It is. It is. This is excellent information. This is like a free informational session. I hope people go back and watch this. And if you're seriously interested in starting a business and whatever it is, creating a product or offering a service, just like look into these steps, because I don't know where you're going to get this. That's just freely given information from someone who's not just talking the talk, who's walked the walk and is successful. Like the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
I went on the
Yeah, me too.
website. I bought like John too. Yeah, we paid for them. Like they're amazing. You want to just give us the name of your company again, where people can find you if they want these glasses?
Oh, for kids.
Oh, John, you want to talk about?
And for the kids, I can't really expand on it, but Dwayne could expand on it, because that was one of the reasons why I wanted to speak about the glasses as well. Because like I said, I was so, it just spoke to me so much when I heard the commercial and saw it. I was just like, wow, this is incredible. Like I just want to be a part of that, especially with dealing with children. And National Parents Union, that's what we're about. Dealing with children, dealing with education, speak your truth as well. So
yeah, I'll touch on the children's side with the kids. Well, so I mean, we've been doing this for a while, but we just launched kids about like 3 weeks ago. And it was as a result of doing a collaboration with a company called Zenni Optical, which is a large online retailer of glasses. And what they specialize is in selling glasses for I don't want to say cheap, affordable. but affordable.
Yeah.
So they sell affordable glasses. So, you're talking $30 to $50. So we've been doing adult frames all of our entire span, right? So we always knew that we wanted to get into kids, but we wanted to kind of make sure that, the kids' glasses were affordable, and so doing a collaboration with Zenni kind of made sense for our business, because they sell affordable glasses and they have this, this capacity that could reach as many children as possible and show them that they've got some cool glasses. But, one of the things is that we wanted to make sure that a lot of our glasses kind of mimic our adult frames to a degree, in terms of like, they don't look so childish. They're not we aim to make glasses that were not tease worthy. It's like, if you got to laugh about something, choose something else, because my glasses are cool. You might actually want these. But so we kind of, we made sure we approached it like that. But then, Coco and Breezy, they were and still are a part of a children's show called Wonderama. Wonderama was on like in the 70s. I mean, Michael Jackson performed like his first hit on there or something like that. And so now it came back out a couple of years ago. And so they became hosts of the show. So we started to develop a relationship with children, more so within the brand. So it was, it was just the timing was right for us to do children. So especially with now the pandemic that just occurred, we were already in tune with the idea of creating cool but affordable eyewear for children. And now with the pandemic coming back and people, of course, job losses and just, people that are, of course, having a hard time affording just about anything these days, it's perfect timing for the glasses to kind of launch and be affordable.
And with so much screen time, with remote learning and teachers working from home, I mean, that's why I needed these glasses. I'm in
Exactly.
front of the screen a lot more. It's altering my eyes. I needed glasses. So, you know,
Exactly.
I think that's the case for a lot of people, children and adults alike. And you're right, glasses can be expensive. People not don't necessarily have coverage. Even with coverage for glasses, they only cover, you know, the bare minimum. Those glasses that you get punked about, like
Mhm.
they're not looking right. So it's really
I mean, one of the I guess if I had to give, just people advice, just adults, children, whoever, um, there's when you're using your computer, there's either two rules you can follow. It's either you're going to put on glasses, even if you don't wear glasses, and your glasses should have lenses that protect you from blue light, um, or you just follow the basic rule of staying far enough away from your computer as you should, which is there's a couple of rules, right? So if you're sitting in front of a computer, the computer should be arm's length away from you for better protection of your eyes, so that you're not, so that you technically shouldn't be able to touch the screen. Um, and then there's also, things like there's a 20-20-20 rule, which means that you should, after 20 minutes of looking at a screen, look away at something 20 feet or further for 20 seconds,
Mm,
right?
heard that before.
And so that's just so that your eyes could, one, take a break, two, practice the readjustment, because we sit in front of our computers all day staring at this screen, which is at the same distance at all times. So our eyes don't get a chance to practice focusing in and out. Um, so 20-20-20. If you're on your computer all day, just remember that. Take time to actually look away for 20 seconds at something 20 feet or further away. And that's just you kind of zooming in and out at something different, and take a break, because your eyes are important. If you didn't have them, what would we be looking at right now?
and where would your business be if we didn't have them?
Yeah, right.
Need eyes to have glasses. See?
We're
And it
lucky
doesn't
because we
hurt.
got into this need-based business, and there's need-based businesses out there, and then there's like want-based businesses. And so, I'm glad we're a part of a business that is actually fulfilling needs.
And let me say, it doesn't hurt that you have some star power behind your business. I know there's certain people that do wear your glasses. For some of the children that may feel like, well, that's another reason why, like, well, these people wear these glasses. Maybe it's even cooler. I know that doesn't hurt. It may not matter to some people,
It,
but
it,
I'm
it
sure it
helped.
doesn't hurt you.
It helped. It helped.
Who's some of the star
Definitely.
power? Let's give some names.
Uh, I guess probably one of the most notable, of course, is Prince. If everybody who is watching remembers when Prince wore 3 lenses before he passed away. So right before he passed away, he was wearing these glasses that had 3 lenses. One at the top that was like right near your forehead, and it was also part of his last 2 album covers. So right before he died, um, he asked us to design these glasses. Well, not right before he died, like about a year before he died, he asked us to design these 3 lens frames. And so we went through the process, and then for about a year, we kind of talked, and Prince wanted to like do a collaboration with like this band that he had, and that kind of fell through. And so he said, well, one day he said, well, look, you know what? Let's not do the collaboration, but you guys can still sell it and just do whatever you want. So we decided to launch it on like April 15th of, oh man, I'm drawing a blank on the year. So much has passed, but like,
Yeah, I saw it on their Coco and Breezy's IG post recently.
yeah, they actually just got tats of Prince the other day, like identical tats of Prince with the 3 lenses on the other day. But yeah, so we launched it. It was kind of eerie because we had this plan to launch the glasses on the 15th, and we had this whole newsletter that we sent out about like the glasses are launching soon. People were signing up for like pre-orders and all that stuff. The day we launched it, nothing, no sales. Like, what's happening?
Wow.
So apparently that same day was the day that Prince was in a plane, and his plane was called down and he went to a hospital. And
Wow.
from, if you go to Prince's Twitter page, it should be there now, last time I checked, but like it was one of his last tweets. So like right before he passed, one of his tweets was directing, he tweeted a link to our website to that product. And so the reason why we didn't get any sales that day was because he ended up crashing the website that day. And when we launched it, we didn't realize that it crashed until someone put a screenshot up and showed that the website crashed.
Well, listen, cuz, hold on for 1 second. Because we have limited time,
Yep.
I want to give some type of thoughtful moment, if you will. Like, you want to tell us, you want to close us out before Vivett closes. Is that okay? But it has to be, I mean, a few seconds maybe.
The end of that story was he died like 2 days after we launched the glasses. And that just kind of just made everything kind of weird after that. But that's our Prince story. And then, of course, there's some other people that wear our glasses that are cool.
Beyonce. I wanted to say that, but go ahead, Vivett. I'm sorry.
I wanted to say that for I'm like, I don't know why you skirting around the issue because he was hype. And I saw it on IG, full transparency. I was like, yo, Beyonce's wearing a Come Go with Reason. She promoted it. I was like, wow, all about Black owned businesses. I was really hyped. I was like,
yeah, Alicia
felt
Keys,
good.
Beyonce, and Serena Williams, and we got some good people.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for sharing. I know this is going to get circulated again and again. Someone's going to watch this and really hone in and anchor down on being serious about starting their business, getting that exposure. I think that's the buzzword tonight. That's what I got from you, Dwayne. Exposure matters. Before you can have representation, you have to have exposure. So thank you for what you have exposed all of us to here tonight. In these last 2 minutes, 30 seconds, where can we go to find your glasses?
Oh, I mean, the easiest thing to do is just Google Coco and Breezy, and so much information will pop up just so you can kind of just see a history of just us and who they are. But it's simple. It's cocoandbreezy.com. COCOANDBREEZ. Is it 2 E's? Yeah. Breezy.com. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So yeah, it's that simple. And anything you see there is all stuff that we've had the pleasure of being able to design in-house and provide for you guys to wear.
Well, we enjoy wearing them. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to all of you who stayed on to be a part of our show tonight. And we look forward to seeing you again. Have a wonderful rest of the week and weekend. All being well, we'll be back with you on Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For now, thank you for being here with the National Parents Union presents Speak Your Truth. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you're out.
Thank you.
Thank